I mailed my brother the invoice for the funeral he told everyone he paid for. My brother Dean is the kind of guy who walks into a room and somehow the whole room ends up talking about him. He's older by 4 years and he spent all of them being the golden one. So when our dad died in October, I honestly figured Dean would take charge of everything, because that's his thing, being the guy. Except he didn't. He showed up to the funeral home meeting 20 minutes late, sat there scrolling his phone, and when the director slid the estimate across the table, Dean made this face like the paper smelled bad. Casket, plot, the service, the flowers, the little reception after. It came to just under $19,000. Dean cleared his throat and said, "That's a lot. Dad wouldn't want us going crazy." I said, "It's Dad's funeral. I'm just saying, we should be smart about it." Then he got a call and stepped out into the hallway. He was out there the whole rest of the meeting. So I signed, I put it on my card, the payment plan, all of it, because somebody had to. And Dad was lying in a fridge somewhere, and I couldn't stand it. Dean came back in as I was finishing the paperwork, clapped me on the shoulder and said, "I was tired and I figured we'd sort out the money later, split it like brothers." The funeral was beautiful. That's the part that still gets me. Dad would have loved it. Real oak casket, the flowers he liked, a room full of people who actually cried. And Dean in his black suit stood at the front and gave this speech about family and sacrifice and doing right by the man who raised us. Afterward, at the reception I paid for, I heard him talking to our Uncle Ray. Ray said, "You did him proud, Dean. This must have cost you a fortune." And Dean, holding a little plate of the sandwiches I ordered, said, "Whatever it takes for Dad. Money's just money." I stood there holding a coffee. I thought I'd misheard, but then Aunt Carol came over and squeezed his arm and said, "You're a good son footing all this." And Dean just nodded, all humble, and said, "It's what he would have done for me." I didn't correct him. I don't know why. Everyone was sad, and I didn't want to make it about a receipt, so I let it go. For about 6 weeks, I let it go. Then it started coming back to me from every direction. My cousin texted me, "So proud of Dean for handling your dad's whole funeral." A family friend told my wife at the grocery store that it was so generous of the older boy to cover everything. Dean posted a photo of Dad at the service with a caption about how he'd give anything, any amount to have one more day. 200 likes. Comments calling him the best son a father could ask for. My wife found me at the kitchen table one night, staring at the payment plan statement. Balance still 18 something. She said, "You have to say something." I called him. I said, "Hey, we should talk about splitting the funeral cost." There was this pause. Then Dean laughed, kind of soft, like I'd said something dumb. He said, "Come on, man. Don't make this weird." "Weird? I paid for all of it. You told people you did." "I never said that." "Carol thanked you. Ray thanked you. You said money's just money." He sighed like I was the exhausting one. "You're really gonna do this? Dad's barely in the ground and you're worried about who paid for the sandwiches. This is exactly why he liked me better." And there it was. Out loud finally after 38 years. I said, "Okay. Okay what? Okay. Forget it." And I hung up. But I didn't forget it. I called the funeral home and asked for a full itemized copy of everything. My name on it, the payment schedule, the balance, all $19,000 of it. They emailed it over. I printed it on nice paper. Then I drove to the post office. I bought one of those flat rigid envelopes so it wouldn't fold. I addressed it to Dean. I didn't include a note. I didn't need one. I paid for tracking because I wanted to know the exact minute it landed in his hands. My phone buzzed at 4:12 p.m. 2 days later. Delivered. Then it buzzed again. Dean. I let it ring out. It buzzed again and again. A text came through, all caps, something about how could I, this is sick. Dad would be ashamed. I took a screenshot of the tracking confirmation. Delivered. 4:12 p.m. signed for. Then I sent it to Ray and Carol and every relative who'd called Dean a good son.